What is up, guys? Welcome back to podcast number 4 of Back Onto the Grid with my close friends, Arjun and Adi. We are down a man. Kami has left us stranded. It is what it is. He will pay. I don't know how, but he will pay for deserting us. No, all jokes aside, super excited to get into it with Adi and Arjun. Guys, how are we feeling coming out of the French Grand Prix?
Want a little bit more action. Maybe if Ferrari can stop DNFing and throwing up their strategy, maybe we can get some more. But yeah, it's getting tad boring.
I'm loving it as a Max fan. Ferrari, just keep doing what you're doing.
Of course.
It's amazing.
Of course, the Max fan. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. So super excited to be back on the podcast. So let's just jump into it. Let's run through the French Grand Prix. We kind of talked about how the Paul Ricard circuit is kind of a mainstay in what Formula One is, although it is a rather boring track or not one of the best tracks to watch. But Charles Leclerc takes qualifying. Let's kind of start from there. Going into the race, Charles Leclerc on pole. Arjun, were you expecting Max to win this, or was Charles looking dominant leading up to the race?
I was very surprised. Until Charles's shunt on lap 18, I think I expected Ferrari to really pull away, because even in qualifying, it was pretty evident that although Leclerc got a tow from Sainz in Q3, it wasn't actually worth that much, and the Ferrari was just that much faster than Red Bull on the straight. So they were utterly dominant on car pace this weekend.
Yeah. Going to Audi, so Max obviously wins, but Sainz has the fastest lap in the Ferrari. Kind of elaborate. Yeah.
I think what Arjun was saying, they had the better car.
Exactly. Yeah. Kind of elaborate on the pace of Ferrari.
Sort of take into account that he started, what did he start, 19th or 20th? I think
20th.
Yeah.
So I said this on the last podcast, that he would make it up into the, I don't know if I said top 5. I definitely said he'd make it back up in just like significant points. I think, again, the Ferrari strategy really maybe took away a podium. I didn't really understand the move to pit there at the end. I think if he had, instead of pitting and trying to make up a few positions on the 10 laps remaining in the race when he eventually pitted, I think if he'd stayed out, again, also granted the tire and the car was all feeling good, I think he would have had a better chance in creating a 5-second gap to sort of offset his 5-second penalty by just staying out. But I don't know. I'm just impressed every weekend by how much more knowledgeable and insightful Sainz is as his own race director. I don't think he really needs anybody on the pit wall, because he clearly knows what he's doing and is just getting sort of bashed around by whatever they're saying. The thing that was like incredible, he is fighting wheel to wheel with Checo.
Yeah.
Going past the pit entry, and they're yelling at him on the radio to pit. Look at the screen. Look, he's racing. He's like wheel to wheel. You want to like be quiet, let him race. He was making his move, and they're telling him to pit, and he's like having to like get on his radio and tell them, stop, I'm not pitting.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It amazes me how much how Ferrari does this weekend after weekend.
Just to add some context before we go to Arjun, Sainz moves from 20 to 4, puts a good move on Checo, goes into third, is trying to put a move on Checo, and he gets the call to box. He has to say not now, like actually back into his radio while he's driving. They obviously talk when they're driving, but it was a high tense situation. And he actually has to respond. And then after that, he just pits the next lap, gives up podium place, and drops down to 5th. Arjun, maybe touch on the Ferrari shenanigans that we see race after race that Audi's alluding to.
I think their strategy department leaves much to be desired. I think any normal person could comfortably just go sit on the pit wall and make decisions. It's pretty bad. I don't know what to say except for the fact that I feel so sorry for the drivers because we see week after week they're defending Ferrari's strategy when it's evident that, Ferrari doesn't know what they're doing. They have a fast car, but if you don't know how to pit, then, it's kind of pointless.
I think it's just, though, it is important to notice or to note that, yes, the Sainz one was absolutely a strategic thing. However, I think the Leclerc was,
That was his fault.
there
Yeah.
were things about the throttle not working. I think that was his fault.
That was, yeah.
So, and he owned up to it as well, better than most drivers. But yeah, it's been a while since they've had a weekend without some sort of screw up, whether mechanical or with the tactical team, not tactical team, the strategy.
Yeah, let's stay with Leclerc for a second here. Looks great all weekend, gets pole, holds Max off for 18 laps, and then loses the rear. I believe going into turn 14, 15. Yeah.
Something on the back half, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Almost back.
Loses the rear, spins into the barrier, and the fascinating statistic that goes around Instagram, Twitter, everything, it's the third time he's crashed when leading a race, which is insane. To crash once while leading a race is bad. Twice is ugly. 3 is just unacceptable, right, Arjun?
Yep, indeed.
Was it, sorry, clarification, was it crashed out or was it DNF'd?
It was
crashed.
He crashed out, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay.
He crashed.
That's bad.
He
that's
broke
bad.
his front wing. Yeah.
I was mistaken because if it was DNF, then I was thinking like, wait, I think he's like DNF'd out of the lead a few times with his car. But crashed is that's something else.
Yeah, I think Arjun, what's going on with Charles?
I think so. This one's tricky, right? Because Paul Ricard is historically known as a circuit that's very windy. And so it's very easy to lose the back of the car. We saw that with Yuki Tsunoda last year in qualifying. That was really funny to me. Like he comes out Q1, shunts it immediately first corner. But I think this one he was also feeling the pressure from Max, to be honest. It's really hard to keep Max Verstappen behind. And Charles was 30 points behind going into this weekend.
Yeah, 30, 32, something like that.
Yeah. So I think he really felt that it was, ride or die on this one. And unfortunately, he pushed it a bit too far. But those kind of mistakes are really unacceptable if you're fighting for a championship. And in my opinion, I think he's out of the championship now. 63 points down to Max with 10 races left to go.
The other interesting thing while we're on this comparison of Max and Charles is I talked about this earlier in the season, the poles to win. Yeah. So this weekend, notably, Charles tied Max for number of poles, 16 pole positions in their F1 careers. But Charles has 5 wins. It's 5 or 6, 5 wins.
Does he really have 5 wins?
Yeah.
Across his
career, because he got a few back in like 2019 earlier with Seb. I think he got 2 that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he has 3 this year. But Max has 27. So 5 wins to 27 wins on the same number of poles. That sort of, I guess, shows you a little bit more of the race pace difference between the two of them.
Yeah, I will say, like we talked about last podcast, I think like we all agreed, led by Arjun, obviously, but Max is like the best overtaker on the grid easily. And I think it plays more to his strengths than Charles, I would say.
There has been some backlash about that, about Max and his overtaking, how it's not like as technical as some of the other drivers in that he gets people with DRS with his car on straights. And the rest are just like maniacal dive bombs.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
he's got a fast car, man. Yeah,
exactly. Like if he has the fast car, I mean, take advantage of it on the straight. Use the DRS. I mean, you can't really blame him for doing that. So
yeah. I want to bring together. Let's kind of finish off this Ferrari Red Bull discussion for this Grand Prix. Arjun, doubleheader question for you. You alluded to it already. Is there any realm of possibility Leclerc gets close back from the 63 points behind Verstappen? And second question, how dominant does Max just look right now?
The answer to your first question, I think Hungary is really crucial for Ferrari to build back momentum. I think there's a real chance that we can see both Ferraris on the podium because Checo has had a pretty bad run of form recently. If Ferrari can manage to keep pace ahead of the Mercedes, then I think they can maintain the podium spots. But I think it's going to be difficult for Leclerc because Max doesn't make mistakes. If Red Bull, faces more mechanical DNFs or something, that's the only way I can see this lead being cut down. And answer to your second question, I think Red Bull have just built the car this year, and Max never puts a foot wrong in the races. His only mistakes have been, or they've never been mistakes, right? They're always mechanical issues with the car. So I don't see Red Bull making any more strategy or technical mistakes this season. And I think the constructors is easily in the bag. What with Checo getting basically top 5 every race. Unless Ferrari can build a rocket ship, then Max is going to run away. I'd say at least 70 points victory over Charles in the drivers.
Well, 3 things. One, they've got about 3 weeks to build that rocket ship that you're talking about, leading into the summer break following this race in Hungary. But then 2 things on the Red Bull and the Ferrari. So one being, this is actually an interesting thing I was reading, that coming out of the break, I'm not sure if it's immediately, but pretty soon, they go to a Zandvoort, which is Max's home race and sort of Red Bull's like honorary home race, as well as Monza, which is Ferrari's home race. And the interesting thing was that they sort of in opposite play to each other's strengths, and that Zandvoort plays directly to Ferrari's strengths with like the high and low speed corners, and then that Zandvoort, or sorry, I said Zandvoort, and then Monza plays directly to Red Bull strengths in all the straights. So kind of looking forward to that. Maybe we'll get like upsets on both weekends. But you were just talking about Checo, Arjun. Well, I just wanted to bring up him falling asleep behind the wheel on the restart.
On the restart, yeah.
That was really interesting after all of George Russell's complaining on the radio. It seems like being at Mercedes just does that to you. Didn't really hear George complain like that at Williams. That was some real Mercedes stuff, to the point where I think Toto had to like tell him to stop.
Yeah,
and actually like do it on the track, actually race. So that was a little, I don't know, embarrassing, almost like secondhand embarrassment here. That like he's complaining so much that even Toto of all people is telling him to stop.
Yeah. One quick thing, sorry, on the restart. Yeah, real quick. Checo, I think, he fell asleep behind the wheel, but they also sent out the restart or the safety car ending message twice, I think. So Checo was already increasing his speed after the first one, and then they sent the message again, so he had to slow down. Yeah, so that caught him out, and then I think ultimately George had more pace, but minor detail. Checo needs to step it up, in my opinion.
No, I love the best is Helmet.
I hate Helmet. Why do we even talk about him?
I love that guy.
So dumb.
Helmet quoted in one of the things, maybe he drank tequila last night in his comment about being disappointed about Checo losing that position that easily.
Did
Helmet race? Like, did he ever race?
Yeah, he did. Actually, he lost his eye in one of the races. Yeah, there's a piece of rock that like went through his visor, and that's why he has a glass eye for one of his eyes.
He has
so that was the end of his racing career. Yeah, he does.
Win?
If you look close, no, he wasn't that good. But he raced against Niki Lauda and a few others.
I mean, it seemed like the lack of technology back then, and like Niki Lauda too, like his whole like have his head is burnt.
Yeah. And then
sort of sucks. Senna.
Senna. Yeah, I was gonna say Senna, the Senna death. But let's stick with Mercedes here. Double podium. Arjun, some say you despise Mercedes, but they're coming along. From the start of the season, they're coming along. How big is this double podium for them?
I must say I'm impressed. It's been a crazy run of form from Mercedes. They've just been quietly chipping away at that second place at the constructors. George is incredibly consistent, and I think what's happening now is Mercedes has stopped experimenting with setups on Lewis's car, and it's sort of back to what he's used to. So we're seeing a crazy run of form from him. I think we can expect a lot more Mercedes 2.3s or 2.4s in the future. Hungary is one of Lewis's strongest tracks. I think he's won here 7 or 8 times in the past. So even if the car isn't as fast, he's just an incredible driver on this track. So I'm expecting, to be honest, like a double Mercedes podium this coming weekend.
I mean, yeah, you got to give it to them. They're racing really well. Arjun, as you're saying, these like upgrades here and there, they're clearly working. However, I'm still taking that race with a grain of salt. Yes, you can account for one Ferrari DNFing or not finishing in the podium every race because something's going to happen. They're going to do something. But here with Carlos starting in the back, I think you have to give maybe one of those podium positions to a Ferrari, if not both of them, if they can somehow keep their stuff together and finish both of their cars.
I agree.
But yeah, still, as you said, very impressive.
Yeah. So if we look at the top 10 or top 5 of the French Grand Prix, you see all the team names you expect. You go Red Bull, Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari. Leclerc crashes out. And the next 2 names are 2 guys I think are very underrated and have been racing amazingly. Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris. Let's go back to Audi for his man Lando Norris. Then we'll go up to Arjun for Fernando Alonso. But Lando, once again, just a good performance in a midfield car.
I think they've gotten really comfortable there in the like somewhere between 6 through 10. I actually think there may have been an minor upgrade on the car that I think it was better than last weekend. I think even Danny Rick.
Yeah, Rick went 9th.
Yeah. 9, I think. Yeah. So like he made it to like
double points, but no one cares about Rick. So
yeah. No, I mean it's good. It's better than where it was.
I do have a question, Audie.
Yeah.
Should take your bias out. Or sorry, I don't know. Should Lando be is there a chance Lando could be putting in podiums with that car? There's no chance.
I don't think it's this car. So Mercedes is what? I think Mercedes is 0.7 seconds off the pace, off the Ferraris.
Mm-hmm.
The McLaren is 1.1 second off the Mercedes qualifying pace, and he still outperformed George Russell. I don't see him getting any further than this with the car they have. Again, fingers crossed. You have 3 weeks, build a freaking rocket ship, please. But with freaking Ricardo's contract, they've already said on the record that they're really, really restrained in upgrades and building the car and whatnot. So I will be very content in the second half of the season if we can stay between 5 and 7 and not really slip. Also, Alonso is really, really good. He's really making the most out of that Alpine. He is there in the 5 or the 6, scooping up the missed places by Ferrari and Red Bull and Mercedes every single weekend. He is also incredibly consistent over there. I'm personally finding that more impressive than what Lando's doing right now.
I agree. I want to go to Arjun for Alonso, but I mean, dude's old and he's just banging out amazing performances. Can you get around Alonso? My dad was talking about it. He's obsessed with Alonso for some reason. He's like, no one can overtake him. But it's true. It's so hard to overtake Alonso. He just plays great defense, right?
Yeah. We saw it, right? We saw it in Hungary last year.
Yeah.
Probably gave Ocon that
allowed
win
Esteban to win
by that defense. Yeah.
Yeah. Arjun, how good is Alonso doing right now?
His experience is really showing through. If I'm going to be honest, he is one of these smartest and most technical race drivers out there, just with the sheer amount of knowledge he possesses about each of the tracks and the strategy. He's such a crafty guy. Like, I think I heard on the radio once that he didn't like inform whatever race control that he had like a broken wing or something, and he was like using code to tell the team that he was, there was some issue or something. So that man is crafty. I think their car is also really, really good. I think we saw what
good.
Esteban got like eighth or something, something like that, right? Or was it tandem?
Esteban goes 8th, yeah. After
Yeah.
he screws
So
Yuki. Freaking
exactly.
Esteban, man.
It's unfortunate for Yuki,
did he get a
5 seconds.
second?
5
5
seconds.
seconds. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't think that's due diligence, but they don't really hand out more than 5. So
yeah, they wouldn't hand a stop and go.
It was deserved though, right? Like he
absolutely.
I'm saying Yuki.
I'm saying it was more. I'm saying it was almost deserving of more, but they don't really do that.
That's what I want. One of us or one of you two called Yuki doing really well. He got 8th in qualifying and looked on track for a good performance, right? For AlphaTauri. Was that you, Arjun? I want to say.
No, definitely not me. I don't like Yuki.
Someone said Yuki was going to do good. I don't know. I'll look back on it, but Yuki gets screwed. But that's pretty much all. Yes, the last little bit. The end of the Haas run is a little heartbreaking for me.
That pissed me off. I was watching the race. I don't know what I don't know what Gunter and it's like they got like Ferrari's backup strategists. I don't know what's going on over there. Like, why? I don't understand the pit on lap 8 and 9 for Mick and Matt. K-Mag had like a video game of a start. I think he went from 19 to 12 in like 2 laps. He was just like throwing the car into every corner and getting positions. One of the most impressive starts I've ever seen.
And Latifi screwed him, right? Was it the
no?
Latifi?
I don't think. Sorry.
How did he crash out?
Oh, there. Yeah, that was Latifi. That was
Latifi. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Audie. Sorry.
But I still don't understand why they were messing around with their pit strategy. They had 12 and 15. Like, why are you throwing that away on lap 8 when everybody is like, even the people at the back are relatively close, right? You're going to take the pit stop. This one is like a notoriously long pit stop. I think it was like 28 seconds, 29 seconds. So I don't really understand it. I think they did that to themselves. I think if they let K-Mag and Mick go, one of them would get in the points. K-Mag would get in the points. But
no, they went for the undercut, right? And then they got screwed because the safety car came right after.
The safety car came like 2 laps after. They were not undercutting. I don't even know if there was a chance to undercut. I don't know. Was this just me, or did these pits seem a lot longer than usual? I don't think.
No. Actually, that's actually one detail about France. So the pit limit speed in France is 60 kilometers an hour, and in other places it's 80 kilometers an hour. So they actually have to go lower because it's a smaller pit. Yeah. So they reduce the speed. So that's why
exactly. So that's
takes longer here.
Yeah. I'm thinking between that probably like sort of makes the undercut strategy a little bit less viable. But I don't know. It didn't make sense then. It doesn't make sense now.
Here's like if you're just a basic fan, not saying that's me, but when you're in the pit, I've always wondered this, like when you have to go the minimum rate, do the drivers control it or is it computer controlled? They can't go. There's a button
on their control. Yeah.
But they still have to steer and everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We saw a few close calls in the pit as well, right? Freaking Ferrari messing up their release.
No, Sainz actually jumped it. He didn't get the light, but he thought he was good to go. So that was his fault.
He got a tap and go on the back tire. I thought they showed like a few like he had all the time to release. They didn't release him, and then they like tapped on the tire and said go.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that was a really close one. Almost DNF their second car in the pit.
Yeah.
But there are jokes about that button. Daniel Ricciardo
The
at the beginning of the season. Danny Rick, take your pit control off.
Yeah, the Rick he's just bad. My final question on the France Grand Prix. I've had a good recap right here before we jump into the Hungarian Grand Prix. Arjun, is there any hope for my guy Gasly? Can he get anything going?
That's one of the saddest cases because I really like Gasly. Like he was like super consistent last season. He's a great guy.
He was so good last year.
I don't know. I think part of it is their car. They really dropped the ball this year, despite having so many Red Bull parts. But part of it is I think he's just not able to come to terms with the new regs. I think so. We'll give him another year, but I think Gasly signed he's on for at least one more year, right?
Yeah, he signed an extension.
Yeah. So
23.
Yeah, but I don't. What position are AlphaTauri in right now? Like 8th, right? 7th.
I want to say 7th. It's not good, but
it's pretty bad. Yeah.
Yuki looked better before he crashed out than Gaz, honestly.
Yuki's not. Yeah, he's pretty unpredictable though. Like he'll crash out in Q1 one race and he'll get 7th in the next race. So
fun little story. Or go ahead, Audie. You're fine. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say hopefully he like figures something out in 2023, so he has like an escape. Because again, they've signed Checo for another 2 years. I really don't think he's gonna get the Red Bull seat.
Yeah.
So maybe he can take, I don't know, something like Danny's spot, because Danny, if he's not leaving the series 110% out next year. So I don't know.
Yeah. My little fun story is I like to collect like sports cards, and I saw a Yuki Tsunoda sports card, and I called the group chat. No one picked up. So I called Audie. Audie picked up, and he was like, "Do not buy Yuki. Like, don't do it." And it was a good call because that DNF would have made me so angry. I would have like burned $100 on Yuki for no reason. So thank you, Audie. Well done, shout. Let's jump into the Hungarian Grand Prix real quickly here. Super nice to have back-to-back weeks. Let me just say that. Super nice to go right back into the race. After this, it will be the summer break. Just a little tidbit there. And then, Arjun, you want to talk a little bit about what the Hungarian track is like in Budapest? What can we kind of expect? I'm expecting it to be a little more entertaining than France, right?
Yeah, so the Hungaroring is another historic track in Formula One. It's a very high downforce track, lots of twists and turns, multiple hairpin corners right after the straight. So I think after the run down to turn 1, there's a pretty tight bend. A lot of cars tend to go off there. Last year in the rain was when Bottas missed his braking point and like took out 6 cars. So we always get a bit of an interesting battle in Hungary, especially down to turn 1. If you can survive, then you're set up for a pretty interesting race. It's also a race where we see some of the brightest stars shine. Lewis has been amazing in Hungary in the past. He's won like 7 times. Esteban got his first win last year in the rain. Max is always strong. And it's really a track that can reward the team that has, a really high downforce setup that still, doesn't have tire degradation. I think it's a 1 or 2 stop race. So we'll see who has the better downforce package next week, but I'm predicting that Red Bull is going to do big things yet again.
I think, sorry, just to jump in about you were saying summer break. I think coming out of summer break, I think we get a triple header, right? Belgium.
We go
Belgium, Zandvoort.
We do
Monza, right?
Monza.
Yeah.
And then Russia's canceled, so there's
almost
like another break. Yeah.
Did they didn't end up filling it with something?
No, they were gonna do Turkey.
Turkey. Did we have Turkey last year?
Yeah, no, Istanbul in 2020. It was the really bad race.
Oh, okay.
Lance got pole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Audie, was Hungary the race Lando didn't put on the wet tires, or was that Russia?
No, that was
Russia.
That was Russia. Okay.
I don't like to talk about it.
I didn't even know drivers could like go against their. I mean, I guess he didn't really go against his strategy,
They
but
asked
like
him.
he made
They-
the call.
they-
Oh, they
Yeah,
asked
he
him.
said
Okay.
no. That was on him.
It's especially in the rain. They generally ask the drivers because like the people on the
'cause it's
wall,
like-
they
yeah.
can't really see the track. They can't see if there's a dry line. So they
Yeah.
always ask the drivers. But most times drivers listen
Yeah.
to their guys.
Refocusing on Hungary. Sorry about that detour. I just wanted to know. Leclerc 7 poles in the 12 races this season. Audie, do we think he's gonna
I think-
hop back on pole?
You don't think so? Arjun?
Arjun was shaking his head.
No, I think, yeah. I mean, okay, this is tough because
I think he's gonna do it. I think I don't know what they pull together. They figure it out on pole for pole.
they don't have a high
Yeah.
downforce setup, do they? I don't know which car favors this track.
Yeah, I don't really
So-
either.
Yeah.
Either way, Max is gonna win come Sunday.
I
Guaranteed.
mean, you just talked up Lewis as dominating.
I'm-
Hungary.
Yeah,
I'm-
but, like,
that's
the
what I'm
third
saying.
place.
I was about
Yeah.
to say, yeah, I would not be surprised if we see a Lewis podium here.
You know what?
He's not gonna
Let's-
win, but
Let's jump into predictions. Arjun, just give me here's what I want to do. Give me who's on pole, race winner,
Mhm.
and a sneaky, like, good performance you see happening, like just a dark horse good performance.
pole is going to be Charles again. Max is gonna win the race, obviously. Lewis is going to get second or third. I don't think it's gonna be a Mercedes double podium, but I think Lewis is going to get one of the podium places. I think Leclerc is going to get the other podium place. And as a dark horse, I would say Valtteri Bottas is going to do well. I think you're going to see Alfa Romeo do really well. in
Revenge
this race.
tour
Yeah,
from
they've
last
had
year.
they have remarkably bad strategy. Actually, they have even worse strategy than Ferrari and Haas, but they were pretty consistent in the first few races. So I think we're going to
They
see
were.
both. Yeah,
Yeah,
Joe and
They
Valtteri
were
do well.
a little bit of a
Yeah.
resurgence. So first and most important stat, we are going to see one Ferrari DNF.
Okay.
Pole
Yes.
pole is going to be Charles. The win is going to be Max. Yeah, I don't think I can really say Lewis is dark horse. That's not dark horse. I'm gonna say Alonso. That's also not dark horse. But like,
Yeah, we
take
know
it
he's
now.
going to do well.
I'm gonna say like 6 to 10. You'll get into maybe a podium, maybe.
Let me get Leclerc on pole. I didn't know Lewis was so dominant at Hungary, and I feel bad because I think I want to say I predicted Lewis to win Austria, right? That didn't pan
Yeah.
out. But I'm going back to him because I don't care. So pole Leclerc, Lewis wins. Even though he raced like an idiot and screwed Yuki, give me Esteban Ocon, like a dark horse kind of candidate. Won last year, right? They would
Yeah,
just
back
put it
to
in-
back.
Yeah, just put it no. Let me just like a top 5. He's putting in good performances. Maybe Ferrari DNFs too, and he jumps in there. Who knows? But
It's a pretty safe bet.
yeah, I think we should. Okay, here's our segment. We make predictions before every Grand Prix. Each correct one is a point. All right. So like,
They sort of tally up.
yeah, and we'll decide if like your dark horse merits like if
Dark horse,
Valtteri
yeah.
is outside the points, like it shouldn't count.
Yeah.
If he's 10th,
Yeah.
it can be like a discussion. Like if he's 10th, it'll be a discussion.
No, I know. I think when you say dark horse, it's like someone random pops up in the top 5.
Yeah, it can just be
Or
like a
even top
sneaky
10,
play.
yeah.
Like it'll just be a sneaky. So if he gets like
Okay.
8th, I'll give you 8th if he gets 8th. Like, I
Okay.
feel like that's
All
fine.
right, good to know.
I like that.
So like we can all get 3 points and we'll just decide it, and then we'll just keep the tally going. Do I expect to get destroyed by you two in the end of the year tally? I don't know. I'll beat Kami. It's fine. We only have a couple more minutes left. Let's kind of open it up. Arjun, any final like statements, anything you're looking forward to in the Hungarian Grand Prix, or just you don't even have to look at Hungary. Are you looking forward to like Belgium outside of the break or Spa? Spa is a great track, right?
I love Spa, honestly.
Clearly,
Um,
the FIA doesn't
with-
think so.
Yeah, exactly. They want more of that Middle Eastern oil money. But
Who doesn't?
Spa's an amazing track. Yeah. Beautiful scenery, one of the longest tracks on the calendar. With rain, any one of these tracks would be really fun. What were you saying?
Sorry, you just brought up two things really important for this weekend. One, rain, 60% chance of rain.
Yeah.
So that can make this interesting. That's one good call. Number two, this one is actually a relatively shorter lap in that there are 70 laps in this race.
Yeah.
So a little shorter lap, long race.
More, yeah. Audie, mention the rain. Anything else?
I don't think there's anything else big for this weekend.
Yeah.
I guess we just got to see if our predictions are right.
I like it. I'm excited about the predictions. I'm gonna write them down so we don't have to look back. I'm gonna find out who called the Yuki. Someone called the Yuki. I think it was Arjun, honestly. But once again, I had a super fun time, boys.
Yeah.
We're gonna hop on after to recap the Hungarian Grand Prix for sure. So make sure you subscribe, look out for podcast number 3. Thank you so much, boys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.